Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Titania Hasya Hermawan from Class B with student ID 210705098. Today I want to talk about neurolinguistic. What is neurolinguistic? Neurolinguistics is the study of how language is represented in the brain. That is how and where our brains store our knowledge of the language or languages that we speak, understand, read, and write. What happens in our brains as we acquire that knowledge and what happens as we use it in our everyday lives. Neurolinguistics study is the study of understanding the functions of brain in processing the language activity. In this study, the researcher studies on how brain plays its role in processing activities such as speaking, listening, reading, writing, and using the sign language for those who use the technique to communicate in their daily lives. The study is not only about the functions of the human brain, but it also focuses on the file in order to understand the difficulties in using language or language disorders that involve the activities of speaking, listening, writing, and using the sign language. How human brains work. Human brain consists of three parts which are known as forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The first one in hindbrain is the lowest part located at the base of skull. Second is the smallest part of brain called midbrain that is located above the brain stem. And the last one is the most vital part of human brain, the forebrain. Our brain stores information in networks of brain cells. These neural networks are ultimately connected to the parts of the brain that control our movements, including those needed to secure the speech, and our internal and external sensations such as sound, sight, touch, and those that come from our own movements. The connections within these networks may be strong or weak, and the information that the cell sends out may increase the activity of some of its neighbors and inhibit the activity of others. Each time a connection is used, it gets stronger. Densely connected neighborhoods of brain cells carry out computations that are integrated with information coming from other neighborhoods, often involving feedback loops. Many computations are carried out simultaneously. Human brain has two hemispheres, right hemisphere and left hemisphere. Both of hemispheres have different functions. The right hemisphere involves music, fantasy, literature intuition, painting, and understanding of setting experiences. The right hemisphere also has particular functions. This hemisphere is able to use the language well by giving the intonations, stressing the uttered tones, using gestures, hand movement, and facial expression as the way to make listeners deeply understand the thought and feeling that have been expressed. The left hemisphere manages the process such as language, logic, mathematics, writing, and understanding of the present experiences. Based on the structure and the orientation, human brain consists of two areas that are important for language. When the input is received in the form of utterances, the sounds are heard by temporal earlobe, especially primary hearing. After the input is received, it will be detailed, digested, and rehashed. The language sounds will be sent to Wernicke's area to be interpreted. In Wernicke's area, the language sounds are going to be separated into syllables, words, phrases, clauses, and sentences. Meanwhile, in Broca's area, the process of recognition starts. After understanding the language sounds, Broca's area sends a message to the motor cortex to be implemented. So, we're moving on to language disturbance. One of them is aphasia. Aphasia is the disorder that results from damage to areas of the brain that produce processed language. People with aphasia have different combinations of things that they can still do in an adult, like way and things that they now do clumsily or not at all. In fact, we can see different patterns of profiles of failed and impaired linguistic abilities across different people with aphasia. Therapy can help autistic people to improve on or regain lost skills and make the best use of remaining abilities. Adults who have had brain damage and become aphasic recover more slowly than children who have had the same kind of damage. But they continue to improve slowly over decades if they have good language stimulation and do not have additional strokes or other brain injuries. The second one is dyslexia and stuttering. Dyslexia is a language-based learning difference. It affects the organization in the brain that controls the ability of process the way language is heard, spoken, read, or spelled. Dyslexia can also manifest in difficulties with working memory, attention, and organization. Researchers suggest that dyslexics have trouble processing the sounds of language and have difficulty relating the printed word to sounds. Genetic differences and genetically based brain differences have been found in families with dyslexia and developmental language disorders, and research in this area is helping us understand how genes act in setting up the initial wiring of, of our brains. There is solid evidence that appropriate language-based therapy is effective for children with developmental disorders of reading and language, including stuttering. I think that's all from me about neurolinguistic. Thank you.